morning and welcome to the Sunday Sunshine Show. If you're new to my channel, my name's Marie and every Sunday I bring you a video at 7:30 a.m. with two other British ladies. That's Tina from Tina's Talk Time and Maria from Maria Crocker, and we've been doing this collaboration for well over 2 years now, and every Sunday is a completely different topic. We could be taking you on vacation with us, in the kitchen cooking, shopping, hauls, DIYs, and just general chit chats. And today we've got 10 questions that we'd like to answer for you. So let's jump into the video. So Maria asked ChatGPT to ask us some questions, and the first one is, what was something that you thought was fancy as a kid but you now know different? So the example they gave was drinking soda out of a wine glass, which as a kid I could imagine that did feel a bit fancy. Now what I thought was fancy as a kid was on Sundays we would have breakfast at the normal time. 2 o'clock we would have our dinner, which would always be a roast dinner, but at 6 o'clock we would have tea, and that was the only day of the week that we would have tea. And what I mean by tea is sandwiches, salad, little cakes, little like fairy cakes, cupcakes, or the really fancy thing was if my mum had made a trifle. That was reserved for parties. That wasn't like a regular tea thing. So having a trifle at tea time on a Sunday was very special, I thought, for me. Second question is, what is your go-to guilty pleasure? And for me, I think it has to be breakfast. Now, normally I skip breakfast because I usually fast, but normally it's oatmeal, cereal, marmalade on toast. But a guilty pleasure for me is croissants with either chocolate spread or croissants with fresh cream and strawberries inside, or the really guilty pleasure would be macarons or macaroons. I never know how to pronounce them, but having a really nice, strong, frothy coffee and a macaroon or croissant, that to me is a guilty pleasure. The next question is, name an everyday thing that you are bad at. And for me, I think it has to be cooking. I'm not known for my cooking. I can turn my hand to pretty much anything, but cooking is seriously hit or miss for me. I can follow directions. I can cook the same meal twice, and one will be a disaster and one will be okay. I don't know what I do. I just have never taken to it. And then we'll go one step further. Try icing a cake. Oh my gosh, it's something I cannot do. I've really tried. Even as a child, I asked for a pipe making cake thing with, you know, the bag as a present one year, and it's something I just can't do. So probably icing a cake and just regular cooking for me is something that isn't one of my talents. Next question. Name one thing that you can't leave the house with. Well, it would probably be the front door key, because you've got to lock your front door, right? But if I had to name something that I could leave in the house but I don't, would be my phone. And I think that's going to be probably a lot of people's answers. If you have a different answer, name that in the comment box, because I think it's going to be the phone. And for me, yeah, phone. I always wonder what would happen if I broke down in the heat of summer over 100 degrees on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere on a long desert patch. I always do wonder what I would do, because I usually forget a bottle of water too. So I think I would go into panic mode and be scared to overheat. So having a phone just to call, you know, someone to say, hey, come get me. That's my answer. Next question. If you won the lottery, what is the first thing that you would buy? And I know a lot of people would say probably a house or a car, but realistically, I think the first thing that I would buy is a takeaway. Order a Chinese or an Indian. And I would probably order one of everything. And then I would sit the family down and I would tell them, guess what? I've won the lottery. I'm packing my bags, I'm leaving you. No, I would, yeah. And then we'd probably sit down and say, right, where do we want to live? What house should we buy? Should we get new cars? I mean, it would have to be a pretty big lottery nowadays because, you know, everything's so expensive. Back in the day, oh my gosh, back in the 80s, if we thought, oh, win $1 million, God, that would stretch, wouldn't it? Now, it would buy you a house and a car, and that's it, really. Or 2 cars, maybe 2 cars that push $1 million. But then you have to pay the taxes, don't you? So maybe just a house and a car. Yeah, $1 million doesn't get you a lot these days. This one, name a TV show that you find cringy. That's difficult. That's a really difficult question. Like, name a TV show that you don't like, or name a TV show that's boring, but name a TV show that's cringy. I mean, for anyone that's British would understand Top of the Pops, for very obvious reasons, but if you're American, you won't understand that answer. I literally can't think of something. If you can think of something, again, put that in the comment box. That's a really difficult question. Maybe I'll have a think and get back. We'll go around and I'll answer that one at the end again. Next question. The funniest typo that you've ever done. Okay, so here's one. I was typing up a contract one day. I was at my job. I worked in a structural engineering company, and our contracts would go to the architect's office. And I wrote this contract up, took it into the boss's office, left it on his desk, got back to my area of the office, and then all of a sudden I heard my boss laughing his head off and didn't think much of it. But then my phone buzzed and I answered it, and it was my boss, and he said, can you come back into my office for a second? So I said, yeah, sure. I go back into his office, and he said, he had the contract in his hand. He said, are we branching out into a different area? And I looked at him and I was like, what do you mean? He said, here, read your contract. And I looked at it. Instead of writing, because you had a title at the top of the contract, which was the name of the project, instead of saying warehouse, I had typed whorehouse. The boss found it funny. Of course I retyped it, but yeah, that one does stick in my mind. A superstition that you grew up with. Well, my mum had a few that she would say to me, and if I was being cheeky or rude and I was pulling a face, my mum would always say, the wind has changed direction and your face will stay like that. And I, as a small child, I thought, how? And another one that I really did believe, and that was, if you don't, no, what was it? If you don't eat your crust of your bread. Yeah, if you don't eat the crust of your bread, your hair won't go curly. And my little self, I don't want curly hair anyway. And I'd always nibble the sandwich, because my mum would have the big, huge loaves of bread, not the sliced bread. So it always had that thick crust. I did not like that. So I'd nibble my sandwich and leave the crusts on the plate. And she'd always say, your hair won't go curly. I don't want curly hair anyway. But the bread one I believed, the wind one I didn't believe. I never believed about if a black cat crosses in front of you, it's bad luck. Well, actually, I've heard 2 different ways. I've heard that it's good luck and I've heard that it's bad luck, but either way, I don't believe. Walking under a ladder, no, don't believe that unless someone's got a pot of paint and they drop it on your head. Don't walk on the cracks of the pavement, but I don't remember why. I think that's the only ones I know. I'm sure there's loads. Next question. Something that will automatically put you in a good mood. Now, my husband very, very rarely ever says this. In fact, in 36 years, he may have said it 5 times to me, but this would put me in such a good mood. And that would be if he said to me on a weekend morning, let's go do something fun today. That would automatically put me in a good mood. Oh my gosh, he never suggests doing anything. It's always me. And yeah, that would definitely put me in a good mood. The next question is a childhood memory. And when I flash back to my childhood, I always think of Saturdays. And that would be to wake up watching Swap Shop and Noel Edmonds. And then after that, if it was a sunny day or a decent, half decent day, I would go knock on my friends' doors and ask if they want to go swimming. And I was allowed to walk with my friends down to our local swimming pool, which probably realistically was about 1.5 miles away. But we lived right at the top of town. We'd have to walk all the way down past the cemetery, all the way through the edge of town, and we would go to these swimming pools called the Milton Road. And I think they were built for the railroad workers, because Swindon was built up around the Brunel rail works. So down at the bottom of the town, they had a humongous factory that they would build the locomotives. And then there was a little village of terraced homes. There was a few rows of them where the rail workers used to work. But then they built this swimming pool. But I'm not sure if it was a swimming pool for them or whether it was like a healing pool for them. I don't know really the history on that. But we would walk down. There would be myself, my friend Eva, my friend Daniel, and then my other two friends, Sean and Nicholas. We'd walk down there and we'd swim for about 4 hours on a Saturday afternoon, and then we'd all leave at the same time and we'd walk a different way home, which meant we got to go past the chip shop and we'd buy a bag of chips or 2 bags of chips and we'd share them on the walk home between us. And to think that my grandchildren and even my daughter, there's no way I would let them walk all that way by themselves and be gone for that amount of time, and especially not have a cell phone with them. No, that's so sad that kids today just don't get to do that kind of thing. And I loved my freedom. I'd be gone all day on a Saturday if you know it wasn't the swimming thing, or if it was a Sunday, I'd literally be gone all day. I'd get up. Sometimes I'd be gone before my parents even got out of bed. I'd open up the back door and they wouldn't see me till the lights came on a Sunday afternoon. I'd be gone, I'd no breakfast, no lunch, and I'd go home filthy dirty. And yeah, we'd go for miles. But yeah. Now the kids, they can't even be gone for 5 minutes and they have to have a cell phone with them. But yeah, that was my childhood memory. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Just an easy breezy chatty one. If you have any questions, maybe we could do a question and answer video from our subscribers. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box and we can do that definitely in the future for you. Please pop over to Tina and Maria's videos now. I think that both of them are focusing on one question, and that is their childhood memories. So I'm really interested to see what their childhood was like. And fun fact, me and Maria grew up pretty much in the same town. I grew up in Swindon and Maria grew up in Highworth, which is a tiny little town literally right on the outskirts of Swindon. But now it's probably engulfed in Swindon because Swindon has grown so big now. It's probably just a suburb attached to Swindon now. Yeah, I'd be interested to find out what her childhood was like. So anyway, I will see you during the week. Thanks so much. Consider subscribing, and it's bye from me.